Okay, guys, hi, how are you? This is Tamir Ali Pariani. Making this videos, making this series now for pandas, and I will briefly describe you why the pandas is imperative as compared to Axel or whatever. Um, I will go straight with the points immediately. I see in this Panda series we will be talking about mostly on, I will select the data that is more relevant and it's more towards marketing. That will make sense, that will make a practical life examples, online sales, e-commerce data, or other stores, sales stores data that makes sense, that will make you really interested in studying these sciences. Most of the time that we study about machine learning or deep learning, the most of the data is something that is really not interested for, it's not interesting for the people, other than some professionals, data on bioinformatics, cancer diagnosis, even if some marketing stuff like banks or something like that. Something that you really do not encounter in lifetime. Or if you some kind of a small businessman or some person or a woman who is trying to enable herself into to enable herself self-sufficient rather than working for something else. Today, most of us, a lot of our people I know, they make handicrafts, they make amazing things, manufacture amazing things. They provide valuable services, but at the end, since they do not know how to sell their services or products directly to the public through online, via online, they end up working for other people. It's the story all around the world, as I have seen all around the world. In US, when I was living there, in Pakistan and everywhere. So here I am making these videos on marketing, and eventually when I will make another series on deep learning, machine learning, everything that I will make. First I will start, I will find the data that is marketing related, that is sales related, that will enable you, empower you to sell your product. So it's not only about pandas, it's about teaching you how to sell things. But here is a caveat. The thing is that you have to learn the statistics, and I would recommend that you study statistics through textbook, from your hand. Although I will teach you statistics here, like a lot of people claim that they will teach you statistics via Excel sheet or Pandas or some other software, but as what I've seen, the mathematics that you really want to build inside. People say intuition is something else. You're not going to do a psychic ability right now until and unless you will have a wisdom, you will have a lots of knowledge gathered together, making patterns and something coming from deep from inside. But building insight, building insight through mathematics, you have to do exercises, as I know, and you have to do with your hand, with pen and paper. If you think you can do with Excel sheet, you can do with them pandas. I don't know, but my purpose here is that to teach you how to manipulate numbers via software rather than being on your hand. Now, why pandas, not Excel or anything? You see, I have written the main points right here. So the course is for the study Pandas, that is the library made with Python, so you know that. Okay, why it is? Because the Excel is only benefits of Pandas over Excel is that it is first step towards machine learning and deep learning and more means robotics, Internet of Things, while Excel is only good for people who are not programmers. So while Excel is only good for people who are not programmers, if you are a programmer, you want to learn, you want to go higher and higher in your lifetime, and believe that me that the way that these things are changing, the way the realities are changing, the way the machine learning and deep learning is pervading all over our life, you need to know, regardless you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, attorney. I was a paralegal. I was studying Associates in Sciences for Paralegal Studies in Dallas County Community College District. I used to do legal researches for hours and hours, like sometimes 10 hours a day, in SMU Law Library and everywhere, using even software databases like Westlaw and LexisNexis. I tell you this thing. Now you need to know natural language processes, natural language processing, and you need to know the linear algebra behind it, the statistics behind it, because things are getting very, very advanced these days. Being just a lawyer without knowing any statistics, without having a grasp over these numbers, linear algebra, how vectors works, how derivatives, how you deal with derivatives, and all these stuff, linearity, non-linearity of numbers and this and that, then you nowhere. You're just gonna briefcases and try to synthesize, while the other person can do through online and can develop artificial attorney right away. So you need to know all these things these days. The good thing is that it's getting easier and easier as the TensorFlow 2.0 came out. Things are easier, everything's automated. You need to know the basic fundamentals, but you need to know. Pandas is superior because it's through Python. Python is the most getting advanced language in artificial intelligence. With Pandas, the way you process data, then data is ready for you to enter anywhere in machine learning libraries, deep learning libraries like TensorFlow, PyTorch, or something, whatever you like, Keras. So here, this is the reason. I have chosen marketing and e-commerce data for this reason, because whatever you do, you have to know how to capture market properly and sell. Once you know how to sell online, you can sell anything on Amazon or your online store. Therefore, one objective of this course is to uplift the lives of people around the world and enable them to sell their services and products online directly. So I will be running NGO. You can run as well as non-government organization for non-profit in US, enabling people, just getting your money for your work, but then enabling people to sell their products online. So minimum wages can go higher, and you can do on your own rather than working for people for minimum wages and all that crap. Today, artificial intelligence becoming necessary regardless whatever profession you do, as I have told you already. Eventually, after this series, I will start series on machine learning, deep learning related to business cases. Then I will create series on robotics, electronics, AI, like computer vision or autonomous cars. But like I told you, the first thing you need to know how to sell. But it's some sort of a sad story. My best friend has stores all over Pakistan, and he manufactured very good ladies' shoes and handbags. The only problem he never gave attention to his online sales and everything, and what happened, the other people who make low quality products as compared to him captured all of his market. Now when he found it out, and when I saw his online store and everything, and I mentioned him and I said, you messed up yourself, because you were thinking that you make very best products, and you do, but then other people who do not make really good products good enough, they captured your market. So you need to know how to sell things. You need to build insights, make patterns, and make insights through available data. That is huge data available. That is the oil of today. They say you can make a lot of money through just having a data. However, it's important to start basic business cases and learn to sell. So we're doing this here now. This is the main points. Okay, this is the first class. I have chosen a one data that is very small because I want to start with small, something that makes sense. See, also my way is that I already built something. I do not want to put a lot of time in memorizing things, so I've already done this, and then I will redo it here for you to learn. As I told you, Pandas is something that is a little bit programming rather than actual user interface, but then after that you will be able to do anything you can: autonomous cars, electronic engineering, if you're a civil engineer, build whatever. If you're a lawyer, build artificial attorney. The sky's the limit. So you start with Pandas. You also start with NumPy. NumPy is Panda is built over NumPy, but the Panda is the basic. That is dealing with data. We'll deal with descriptive data, statistics, and after that explanatory. We will go into inferential, that is coming into artificial intelligence, and a little later on. So don't worry. My goal here with this series is to enable you, empower you to sell anything that you can sell and make money, and build insights through your sales. Sell anything on Amazon, on anywhere. Build complex software that you probably have to pay hundreds of dollars. You can build it your own. So we're coming into this. So the first thing is that you will import NumPy. See, NumPy is the basic one, that is the linear algebra one, but builds arrays and matrices. That is Pandas is built over it, but you don't worry about it. You're not learning NumPy, you're learning Pandas because you start with Pandas as an Excel sheet and basic statistics. So we will make the word shorter, PD, so you can pick up, instead of writing whole Pandas every time, you can just write down PD. You say, so first thing what we'll do is importing it. This is a Jupyter notebook. We'll be doing on a Jupyter notebook. If you don't have Jupyter notebook, please download Anaconda. How to download Anaconda, I will make another video later on. So Anaconda, once it's downloaded on your Windows, you're good to go, if Linux or whatever. Pandas is here. Like Anaconda is here. That is a Python distribution system, whole thing, and it has all things already available, so we don't have to pip install. It's already installed. Import Pandas PD. Okay, so data frame, as a statistics, what Excel sheet and you put in a tabular form, it is a data frame in which you have the whole columns of features. But instead of writing a data frame, we will write down here, instead of a DF, we will write something here. Good word, that is a transactions. Why I'm saying this transaction, I'll let you know right now. So we have PD, read. If you have Excel sheet, it will be Excel read underscore, otherwise it's CSV. This is the CSV file. We'll do Excel a little later on. We'll find some good other data. This data is picked up from here. Eventually I will look into Kaggle, a lot of other resources, but Kaggle is the best. It's the e-commerce data, as I told you. Data, e-commerce. Okay, if you put a front tab it will find itself, you see, but it's not finding here. E-commerce, it will do now, you see. There we go. I put the tab, front tab, and it's done. Okay, this is something to you to know. This is a good example. The data is not only pure CSV file, comma separated file. It is something that encoded as well in UTF-8 characters. So to make this available, you encode this into ISO something. How you find it out if you have a problem, whatever the error is coming, put error on the screen and you will find Stack Overflow, and you will find description what you have to do. If you're saying you have to put UTF-8, sometimes we put it in, but it haven't worked this time. There we go. So here it is. You put Shift Enter. Every time you want to run the cell, you want to put Shift Enter. And it's the Jupyter is through it's interactive, so we can do this thing. The Jupyter is also available through Google now. It's called go look into it. But the thing is that running on your own computer is a lot easier. It has some limitations. But when you will have some data that is pictures and heavy data you cannot process on your computer, in computer vision you can do this online. So okay, transactions. I have set transaction to this. Why I have made this variable, I'll show you. When you put head and you put enter, the first 5 rows will appear default. If I put 10 here, the 10 rows will appear. Okay, 0. And Python start with 0, so it's not start with 1, it's start with 0 to 9. Okay, the data is so good that for you to learn very beautiful data. Why? Because it's so simple. Just first class, you need to know things simple. Believe me, you don't need something with 18, 20 columns, describing left and right, and you just bogged you down into this. No, it's simple data. E-commerce transactions. Stock code is this. Description of the item is here. Invoice number, when the transaction was done. Transaction was done on 12/1/2010 at 8:26. Quantity was bought 6 of them. Unit price is $2.55. Custom, probably it's a pound. It have been bought it was bought in United Kingdom, so probably it's pound. Customer ID is this. It's the same customer bought 5 times. Like he or she keep buying things. White metal lantern, white hanging heart tea light holder, green cupid heart coat hanger. You see, invoice number. So it's gone into the same invoice. You look. Same invoice number until here. It looks like it's the same transaction but being recorded as this way because the items are different. So it's an online purchase, and you know what, I will do this quantity multiplied by unit price. I will show you a little later on how you can build another column where you will have a total sales price, but at this time, this what it is, a transaction. This is why I made this name transaction, because all these are transactions, online sales through some e-commerce website, and they've been buying these things. Description is here, stock code is here, invoice number, quantity. You see, it's like an Excel sheet. You can open Excel sheet as well, CSV files, whatever. The difference is that you have a lot more control in manipulation of numbers, therefore, and it's through Python, so therefore this is the access point for you to go enter the data into a machine learning algorithms, controlling cars by themselves, doing robotics, building brain for robotics, building brain for Internet of Things, building artificially intelligent attorney, you know, whatever the paralegals do, you can make it automate itself. uh, Sky's the limit. So here we are transaction ID. Okay, PD set option. Okay, you can set options here. You see this PD, because everything starts with pandas as PD now, because we have made it as import pandas as PD, so we do in PD here. PD set options. If you want to build, you see, if you have 25, 30 columns, features, right? One advantage of having a machine learning is that you can you can process 1500 dimensions at the same time. You see, this is the one big main reason. You cannot do yourself as being three dimensions. You know, you cannot even visualize more than 3 dimensions. So this is something that you can do. Okay, max rows 10, max columns and max rows, max columns and max rows. So max columns means features, and rows are observation. Eventually, each case, you know, each transaction, but now these transactions are the same. 5365 feet, you know, but different merchandise. So I hope you're understanding this very clear, because it's online sales. It is not something cancer diagnosis or you know, bioinformatic kind of stuff, or you know, some social sciences data that makes you crazy. It is not that. So we have entered this. If you would have like 18 or 20 options, you see, I forgot the P. This is something with programming, that you put one thing wrong and it comes error and you just fix it. It is a very good way to learn programming. If you want to learn programming, you can also learn through the web development, but if you want to know through the data sciences, this is here. Okay, now we want to know the values, only values. You see, values means we're not gonna have the headings. Transaction, transaction. You see, again, it's a mistake. Okay, now data. We cannot do head. We will do this. Okay, you know what? When you have transaction or data, that is head, that is 10 only observation. But if you want to pick up an observation from, like, the first talks about the column, that is the first column, that is start with 0. If you start with 0, you start, this means no means 0. Start with 0 observation to all the way where you want to go. You want to go maybe towards 9 the same way, right? And you want to, then you will have a comma, means now second column for the columns. So start with 0, 0, 0, that is index, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, you see, till the end, because I have mentioned no numbers here. Same thing, it will give it to you. This would transaction would give the same way would have given you this data frame, but here it's giving you only the values. Again, an array, you see it's saying array because it's built over the NumPy, and it's making a matrices. So you see matrices are the same thing. If you want to know something about linear algebra, matrices are the dimensions and observations. When you do dot product, you actually multiply with the transposed one. So here it made the matrices. It made the first array and then the bigger array, so array under array. Well, don't worry about it, just giving you the values. The first value, that is invoice number 535, same thing. It's giving you stock code, you know, the description and the quantity and all that good stuff, if you want to know the values only. Okay, Why you want to know the value? There's so many things, don't worry about it at this time. We go back again to transactions, right? I can do the same thing. 0 to, well, you do this way, okay? 0 to 9 make you satisfy you. 0 to 9 observation, comma, columns, all means all columns. Okay, it's not doing this. If it's not gonna do this way, you can do iLock. There we go. iLock will pick up the numbers. You see, because actually this indexes numbers, but here it has names. Instead of name, if you want to do with numbers, you put dot iLock. If you want to with names in columns, then you will put lock only. But here we have the same thing here. If I want to get 20 observations, 19, 0 to 19, so 20 observation. Maximum rows I had set 10, so it will give 10 regardless. I'm picking up 19. If it's 19, it's not gonna come up, so I have to put 20. 20 is not gonna come up. It's gonna be 0 to 19 actually. So if I want to know everything in the middle, I will change the options maximum rows to 30. Okay, so it will show maximum rows 30. Here we have. Now we have all 0 to 19, that is 20, below 30, so everything's coming up. Here we go, and you're seeing it. You see, like an Excel sheet, it is not something that you really want to visualize. I mean, like you want to see. Eventually, you're gonna visualize through those Matplotlib. There's another library, or within the Pandas, diagrams. You're gonna build pie chart or the histograms and all that stuff. But so here it is. If you want to know the shape, now we need to know the shape, right? I mean, like we need to know how many rows in this data, you see, and how many columns. So what we're gonna do, transaction dot shape. When we're gonna put it this one, it is saying that 541,909 transactions, these descriptions. Maybe invoice number gonna be one for one and the other one, but these different items have been bought. 541,909, and the column that the descriptions are giving, there are 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, like index, you just take it out. Index has only numbers, so start with here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This doesn't start. Shape doesn't start with 0. It's really giving you how many columns it has. So country that have been bought in, customer ID, unit price for each thing, quantity, and we will total sales. We will put it in. Don't worry, we will add the thing right here. Okay, as you know, with Jupyter, if you know already, because for Jupyter we're gonna make another transaction of the video. If you want to make it writing, if you want to write something in there, you will select Markdown. You can put escape and 1 for the heading. You see. Getting familiar with data frame components. So now we are getting familiar with data frame components. We're gonna put it here. I'm sorry, we paste. No, it haven't copied yet. Okay, so I'll put copy, and I will put paste here. Then I will put shift and enter. It will do as that one. Now the next one is already selected as code here. So now we need to familiar with data frame component. What is data frame? This is the data frame. If you study statistics, Data frame is the Excel sheet that you know the data, the whole what do you call data in databases. It's real database, and you call table. It's something that is a table. Okay, column. But we'll pick up data from everywhere. I mean, like from databases and everywhere. Don't worry about it. But eventually we just have to start it. So DF column. But the benefit of this course is that it's the data that is pick up. We'll pick up. It's relevant. It's about marketing. It's about empowering you to sell things online. It's not something that about diseases or some kind of disease in malaria in Africa. These kind of data. No, I mean, like, we don't want to do this. Okay, we don't have DF. We have transactions. Transaction dot columns. Transaction dot index. And what else? We need to know the columns. We need to know the index. We need to know the data, the data values. Transaction, well, it really doesn't mean anything. You don't have to know. I mean, like, you can put the whole data frame and process everything. So, but okay, here it is. So now it is preserved in columns. The columns, when we enter it, shift enter, it will give what are the column names are: invoice, stock code, description, quantity, invoice date, unit price, customer ID, and the country, as you can see up here. Index, it's giving you it's within the range index. It is the subclass of range index, and that's what it is. I want to go more in detail. Data, same thing, giving you in these 3 dot means 500, how many? Say 541,909, these rows. So, but it's giving you the first 3 values and the last 3 values, this, so don't worry about it. Just we need to know, if you want to know, again, if you want to know the data shape, if you want to know the shape of the data, that is the values taken out rather than giving its column names, still the same values. The rows are 541,909, and the top, when you have data frame, you have the top descriptions too. 8 columns. Each transaction has 8 columns for you to know, means these dimensions. Again, this is data 1. If you want to pick up only one value, data, you will put here, you will put 1 if it's in value. 0 to 1 means only 0 included. Start with 0. All columns. If you want to put columns, less columns, it's up to you. But here what it is. The first transaction. It comes in an array because it's built over the numpy, and numpy goes with arrays, and the matrices. The first array is the 1-dimensional vector. Second array, I mean, like, 1 dimension, I mean, like, means the first observation. It has 8-9 dimension, the vector of 8 dimension. Matrices means lots of observation. It can be 1 dimension x, it can be x, y, z, it can be all kind of dimensions that you enter. Okay, type index. Type of index, you see it's a Python function that you want to know. Instead of putting shape and this and that, you just want to know type. And the type is telling you that it's a Pandas core index ranged index. Okay, column, Pandas base index. Okay, columns are 8 columns, right? But okay, it's coming. Type columns, base index, and data is numpy array. You see, columns. It's also Pandas core. You start with the first. Pandas is the main library, core is the class, indexes is the subclass, base is the subclass, and dot index. Here we put data, that is a numpy array. You see, when we took the values out, it is no more data frame, it's numpy array because it built over the numpy. Index dot values, it will give you the values. Column dot values, you see, we have put it in column values, right? Columns, if you put just columns or if you put column values, it will give you in the form of array. Again, same thing, because columns, it's already preserved in columns, so the value is gonna come as array, so you don't have to worry about it. Build over. Getting familiar with data types. We are getting familiar with data types. Again, I will put the markdown. I will put only one pound, that is the main. I will copy this here. Getting familiar with data types. I will put this here. This is something that you know. Transaction data types. Yes. Transaction D types. Because you need to know. Okay, sorry, it's a series. Okay, transactions, that is this data frame, has different data types. You see, it is not homogeneous. Homogeneous means all data is the same type, like integers. But it is not here. You see, it's a string. It's written thing. You know, alphabets, a string. It has integers. It has floats, that is our decimal point numbers. So invoice number is saying invoice number is object, that is a string. Anything that is not integer or float, not decimal point or the integer, then it turns out to be an object of Python. All these string numbers, invoice number, stock code, description, because it had alphabets in there, everything's turned into object. Especially description, obviously. Quantity is integer. You see 22, 33, 64. You will teach you how to save memory if you want to put it into integer 8. Right now integer 64 bits, but it takes a lot of space, each number. Float 64. Unit price, customer ID, because they're in decimals. Country is the name United Kingdom. It's a string, alphabets, therefore it's object. df get data counts. You see, if you want to know transaction, get data count. Transaction, if you want to know how many each D type counts. You see, I don't retrieve these things. A lot of time you don't have to retrieve. I don't know, I mean, like in third world countries, Pakistan and India and all that, I don't know, I mean, like they haven't gone to anywhere. They're just too poor, but they like to retrieve, they like to route things rather than going fast and covering a lot more through recognition and practice. They just wrote things. They just need to memorize things. Sometimes it makes you slow. I don't want to be slow. Selecting a single column or multiple columns as series. I mean, like this is something that I learned in the American high school as soon as I came in, and the teacher told me that you're running slow because you write half page instead of 2 lines, and you will not cover as much we have to cover in 4 months. So I think that makes sense. Now selecting a column or multiple columns as a series. You see, now this is something that I forgot to tell you. This is the whole table. You see, it's a data frame. But when you pick up 2 columns or any 1 column or less than all columns, then it turns into a series. some object, it's a particular object in there, it's called series. Yeah. So I'm picking up only one column, that is description, right? I'm not, okay, and I've done this wrong, it's not df here, it is transaction description column only. Why it's coming here, this description or description instead of this is something with programming rather than the Excel sheet. You need to know, you have to put every time right. I mean, like, this is sometimes you debug in huge computer programs. You know, you just have written one colon or one comma wrong, or you just forgot something and the whole program shuts, and you really have to find it out. Sometimes the software that is giving you a clue is not right either. So, but here you're not going to have that much problem. Transaction description all the way to 541,908, actually 0 to 908 is 0 to 909 actually. So it's giving you descriptions. Transaction, okay, if you want to know the type, it will be series, not going to be data frame. See, pandas library core class dot series subclass dot series subclass. This is a series because it has been taken a one column out. I mean, like, if I take two columns out, it's just gonna be the same thing. If I want to take the two columns out, you see here, what's the difference? Can you see? If I want to put two more than one column out, transaction, then I have to put a list. You see, there is a list. If you're familiar with Python, this is a list, and you put enter. If 2 or 3 or 4 instead of a 1, it's gonna be only in one list. So I'm gonna be putting in more, and then I have to put the whole list of these things. Either I can put list as a variable and put variable here, or put list directly. So the only thing I'm picking it up is stock and description. Save here. Also can do this, but it has some limitations, and you know, you can put dot description instead of putting into brackets. Same thing, but can have some downsides, so try with that. I can put this description into products because these are the name of the products, right? I just have to do this here. This is the first one, so this will give you a lot. I mean, like, if you do these exercises, it will give you so much. Like products name, I mean, like, it's giving you, I'm gonna summarize at the end, but this is giving you the basics of it. Products dot name description. Transactions column name is description. So it came into a products variable, but when I've said what is the name within that variable, it's gonna say the column name is description. Products dot frame dot head to frame, if you want to make it instead another frame. You see, everything I'm doing, it's not changing the data inside. We can permanently do that. This will be in later classes, but right now the CSV file is as it is. We're just putting this in memory. So it has made a frame, data frame of this one, and then when I put head, I can combine these, chain these functions. Instead of giving everything, it's giving me 5. If I put in head 10, that'll give me the 10 record. Now stock code, you see stock code, I can put it into that. You see stock code, you know that. In transaction data frame, there's also stock code. column. I saved it in there. When I need to know unique, I mean like value counts, each value counts. So it is saying that the stock number 85123A has been mentioned 2,313 times. 22423 stock code have been mentioned 2,203 times, so on. Again, product shape. I don't need to know. You need to. You know it's already 5,409. Length is also that you can use the function of instead of shapes. You see, you can do that. Since observations are eventually the product descriptions are also 5,409. But there is one thing. You know what? When I put products dot count, it will give me less number. You know why? Because I put here the comment because of NaN, not a number values, or you know, when there's no description or no number is given, it comes as NaN, means not a number. So 5,455 descriptions are given, the minus 5,409, that number will be, I mean like 541,909 minus 540,455. Okay, how many? 1,454 descriptions are not given. So it is written NaN, missing data. That's what you have to do, clean the data, quantity and unit price. You see, now if I want to made another column that is total price, or total sales, or total price, you see total sales, to grand total or whatever, I mean like for each merchandise, that will be units multiplied by the unit price, right? But what I have to do first, quantity, with these two columns again, transaction quantity and transaction quantity. That's the final one I'm doing here. Quantity, transaction quantity. It's what happened in transaction quantity actually, you know, and the same thing happened, and there's some missing data. So for right now, what we do, we will missing data NaN will not gonna be able to multiply with nothing, so we will turn into a number. We will fill this with 0. So we will fill not a number with 0. So whenever it says NaN not a number in quantity, it will be filled with 0, and it will turn into this column again, back column again, right? Transaction quantity, transaction quantity. Same thing I would do with the price. And why I'm doing this, because I cannot multiply not a number, you see, unit price. I cannot multiply not a number with some number, whatever. So I put it here. I put fill not a number with 0. We can fill with median, depend on the circumstances, with upper number or lower number or whatever. But in this is a very fast first tutorial, so we're just I'm just showing you how you can manipulate columns and all that stuff. So now what you will do, you will create another column which is called total price, TF total transaction total price. Total sales or total price, right? Total price. What will it will do? It will multiply the transaction quantity transaction on each data set. You see, you don't have to loop around or something. You just do it like this. Transaction. There we go. Okay, transaction. Dot head again. Number 10. 10 of these. Now there's another column added that is total price. That is unit price multiplied by quantity. 255 multiplied by 6. It's $15.30. Actually, it turns out to $15.29. I mean, like pounds in United Kingdom. And that's what it is, 15 pounds, 30 pence, you know. So you have all these details now here. Now if you want to know what is the minimum transaction, again I'm missing it, you see, so you should know this. It's giving you invoice number. Actually you want to know the transaction total price. In total price, what is the minimum sales, right? Total price. There we go. It is saying the minimum is minus. I don't know how it turns out to be minus, but it turns out to be minus here. You see, if we haven't explored the data that much at this time, but it somehow it turns out to be minus. Maximum total price is 1,06846. This is the biggest transaction. 16, I mean like 469 pounds, 68,000, 168,469 pounds. I don't know why people who have bought this one. It's eventually an outlier. You see, if you study statistics, this has just showing something, a mistake or something that has happened. You know, nobody can buy that much kind of a transaction. Mean and median, you see, but we can find mean and median and all that, but I will tell you something so fast. Transaction, you can find out for the everything for the total transaction data frame, but we need to know. So if you put describe will give you mean, median, maximum. Here we go. So the mean transaction is 17 pounds. That makes sense, right? The standard deviation is 378. I don't know, because you see sometimes it has outliers. And we have the 50% quartile, you know, the quartile, the quartile, first quartile, the second quartile, 9.750 transaction, 9.9 pounds. That is the median. And we haven't found it. We can also find the mode. Mode was 15 pounds, as I know. So 17 makes sense. $17 per pound transaction. You know, but when you say this has some problems, when we're gonna look into the data. So for right now, what you have learned, sir, ma'am, is something so good. You can basically manipulate pandas like Excel sheet. The difference is that you have sky as the limit. You will be doing artificial intelligence for transactions, marketing, everything. We will pick up the marketing data. That makes sense. Most of the time on YouTube or anywhere you will find data that does not make sense. I mean, like malaria and all kind of stuff. So we imported the Pandas as PD. We imported the data frame, that is the e-commerce transactions. Transaction, we give the name transaction. We got the head, that is 10 transaction with 10 in there, not the default one. We set the maximum rows and maximum columns. That's what we want to see. That is a lot more. Transaction values, we find when we put it the values only into data as array, numpy array, it came out to this one. If you, however, we have to deal with the transaction data frame. iloc is the function that goes with numbers instead of putting the name of these things. When I put blank columns, the second after the comma, the second semicolon, that means that from 0 to at the end, all 8 columns. But 20 rows, the first column shows the rows, so 19, 0 to 19 is the 20 rows, giving you all description. Very easy data: invoice number, stock number, description of the product, quantity, invoice, unit price, customer ID, and the country. I will put the link for this data in our YouTube, so you can download the data and exactly do the way it is. Transaction.shape, 541,909 different transactions, 8 columns describing the dimensions. Getting familiar with data frame, we did that. We did shape. At the end, we took the single columns out, we put 2 columns out, stock code and description, and at the end we made another new column that is the total price, that is the multiplied by quantity and unit price. With total price, we found the mean, median, and we found the whole describe the data. That gave us the median, and we gave a standard deviation and the mean pounds, in pounds, UK pounds, that is 17.98 pounds. That's the mean transaction that it happened. Later we will go explore more. We also filled the quantity and unit price with zeros, that not a number, that was not a number or missing data, because we cannot multiply missing data. Before we multiply the quantity with unit price, we have to fill up the missing data with 0. With anything, with mean or something, depend on this time we didn't care, so we filled up with 0. Thank you, and hopefully we'll give you the first look how we're gonna proceed further. And again, as I told you, it's all about marketing. Build up your sales, enable you to sell things on market and online through Amazon and all over. I wish you good luck, and please wait for the second tutorial. Bye bye.